Whoa!
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
Are you ready for your anniversary?
Got this on tape, so I am somewhat ready. I have plans. Speaking of plans, I have plans.
You have plans. Got it.
I have tools.
Waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Road Dogs. This is Samuel Lin, aka King Yen Lin, and I am your local freelance multifaceted specialist. And with me today is
Eric Sung. What am I? I do a lot of things. I'm a designer, developer, freelance filmmaker, cinematographer, yada yada yada. The works.
so another multifaceted specialist.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, which leads up to the topic of today's vlog.
Right.
And the vlog is focused on LA traffic and the conversations we have during LA traffic. I realized that all the time we had conversations that we would forget here in the car, because the only reason we had those deep conversations is because we didn't want to fall asleep at the wheel. But there's a lot of lost productivity. So today the topic that we decided, me and Eric, is tools. Right? Tools not in the way that you would assume.
You know, if you were to describe someone as a tool, it's not usually the best way to describe a single individual. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about like whether or not the tools matter. You know, a lot of times when we talk, especially as filmmakers, even designers, artists, a lot of times you get kind of stuck on the tools that's used to make whatever craft and whatever outcome that you're trying to design, deliver, film. And it does matter to a large extent.
To put it simply, you would break it down to three parts, three different positions, let's say. And this is a very general basis, but most people are oriented in these three different categories. And these three categories is tools, to be tool-oriented, to know your tools, to like your toys, to collect a bunch of toys. And this is what Eric is, right? He has a bunch of toys and he likes to collect them, and he likes to tinker and fix and see how he can play with different things. That's tool-based people, right? The other extreme would be visionaries, oriented people. That's what myself is. That's what I myself am. All right. So I have an idea, and I have no idea how to make that idea, but I know how I want this idea to be. In a sense, that's how Road Dogs came to be. This idea that kind of manifested in my mind based on my imagination, my experience, and just how I decided to pursue that vision. Now, the in-between of that is craft-based people, right? So tools, usually, once you've collected a bunch of toys, you realize what toys that you're good with, what tools that you necessarily are in your repertoire. You take those tools and you're like, okay, what can I do with this? And you build a craft or a career or a role that you can fill. It can be, for example, web design. It can be the programming behind it, is the tools, everything that you've learned in C++ or HTML, Flash, and become a developer that way. From the opposite sense, speaking from a visionary sense, if I wanted to have an idea about a movie, then I had to learn what I need to do, or who I need to collect to create a team to make said movie, right? Keep in mind that as a visionary, you don't really have knowledge in these different fields.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it really depends on using filmmaking as an example, right? You start looking at different types of directors and what kind of categories they kind of belong to. Robert Rodriguez would be the opposite spectrum of, say, someone like Quentin Tarantino, or even James Cameron. James Cameron being a great example of probably something in between, right? Because writers, I see most writers kind of have a grand vision as to what they want to make, and then they get to fill in the pieces of how that such thing could be made based on whatever is already in their vision, and then it kind of gets pieced together, right? So like James Cameron has a grand Terminator. This is what I imagine, right? Based on these sketches, this is what I want. Let me find the resources in order to make what's in my head, right? Versus like someone like Robert Rodriguez is like, all right, I have a really cruddy little camera. I got a bunch of like mariachi. Can I make a story out of this? What can I shoot with? Based on my tools, I'm going to make something out of it, right? So like you got two different kind of like different types of spectrums here, and it's really easy to like I myself am a total gearhead, so like I get caught with the technology. So I was like, all right, cool. Then you start learning like things like ETTR, like exposing to the right, and like different types of sensors and how to get the best colors, and like you start thinking about codecs and color spaces and compression. You can get easily lost into the like the minutia and the graininess of the craft, right? And it's really easy to lose the sight of the big vision. Like, okay, now I got a pretty picture. What am I making this for, right? And I don't know if it's a discussion of right versus wrong or what path the one should be taking. It's just an exploration into like, okay, so there's these different types of spectrums of how you can possibly create things.
I don't think there's necessarily a should.
Yeah.
Because people are just naturally oriented a certain way, right? So speaking from the opposite spectrum, speaking from the vision-based spectrum, like there are plenty of people, or even myself, who have written things that are just like, wow, I really want to do this, and then I've shown it to someone who was like, oh, we can't, because we just don't have the budget for it. we just don't have the budget for it. We just don't have the ability to do so, and a lot of the time you have to learn to, as a vision-based person, you have to learn to sculpt your projects based on your resources, and you have to learn to hold back, because you can think of an amazing project. I think there was this project that me and Eric actually came up. It was Running from the Sun, and the idea, and I'll just explain it here because I know it's not something that we can ever put really into production. The idea is, fast forward the world into a couple centuries in the future, right? The sun has grown bright, which means it's not really livable under. Right. So half of the planet is constantly burning. It's not livable situations. If you're in that half of the planet, you're dead meat, right? So in order to survive this, humanity has created a train system that goes around the world. Think about like large cities as large as Los Angeles, traveling around the world on a daily basis, and basically having to be on this track going from one side to the other, so it stays in the dark side of the sun, hence running from the sun. And to survive, your currency, or the things that you would survive off of, is these train tickets, right? So and it would be an interesting every episode of this series would be like shot from a different tier of society. The lowest tier being so jealous of the rich people who can always have a ticket or whatever. People killing each other over tickets. Begging each other for tickets. Like just this mass like terrible situation, right? Whereas and then from a different perspective, it would be like the people on top and realize that everyone up there is sharks. Everyone up there is willing to stab each other in the back just to get a better seat in their position, or a more solidified seat of solidarity in their position on the train, quote unquote.
Right. And this is actually really interesting. Now we're talking about this. Because initially, it really depends, and this is actually goes back to the whole idea of tools versus visionary. Yeah. Like the vision that we have is like a grand vision, right? And you're thinking, if you think about it as like, if you said it in the tone of a AAA blockbuster film, right? Yeah. Something like you imagine, like pitch black, like dark, a Vin Diesel kind of movie, right? It would cost a lot for the special effects, for the makeup, and like you have wide scenes, establishing shots of like a scorched earth, literally, right? And giant trains. It would be very expensive to film. It's not something we would be able to do, right?
Yes.
And this is like the whole vision versus tools. But then now that we think about it, if you could actually probably shoot this, if you had, but you have to take a completely different approach to it, right? You'd have to do because it's scorched sun and everyone's in like the darkness, right? If you had like very dimly lit, or at least exposed in such a way, so it's like in closed areas, like in a train. Think of like Train to Busan, right? Yeah. Like so if you shot it tight and close, and you inferred all the through all the chaos, right? And it's like all the it's not really taught spoken in an exposition.
Train to Busan low budget?
No, Train to Busan wasn't ultra low budget. But I'm saying, it's definitely lower budget than what we were thinking.
Yeah, and this is why people that are vision oriented and people that are tool oriented actually need each other, because one will not work without the other. Basically,
Right.
it's like a tool person will get too caught up in their own little toys and everything. They'll never actually think on a larger scale. What can I do with this?
Mhm.
And, as opposed to a vision-based person who creates something that who has expanded the imagination, or trained per se the imaginary side of their brain
Right.
to really express these world-building scenarios. But on the flip side, some of them tend to resent each other, and this is coming back to the original topic of what we said we probably wouldn't talk about, which is the derogatory term
Of tools.
sense of the term tool, right?
Yep.
Because a lot of the time, and people will feel used.
So tools and visionaries having completely polar, like, I guess, views of the world and how they operate, right? Naturally, people because you have completely different views, and most people tend to be very binary. There tends to be a conflict between these personalities, and that causes problems in terms of trying to make stuff.
Yeah.
I recently had a experience, and you know of this specific experience where I shot a music video with some people, and we had a great idea.
True.
Like when we first came up with what we wanted to shoot.
Yeah, many ideas.
Yeah. But unfortunately, because of budgetary reasons, and also I guess it was a lack of planning in terms of like all of our. This is a team effort, right?
Yeah.
So we weren't able to plan.
Well, super last minute.
It was super last minute. We weren't able to plan and execute based on our original ideas at all. Again, this is where like tools versus visionary had a clash of sorts, right?
Yeah.
And not in a negative way in terms of like the working relationship.
Yeah.
But there were objects at the shoot which I felt were like potentials in terms of what we could use to and because of the tools we had, basically working what we got.
Yeah.
To make something out of. But the crew and I did not have the same. We did not agree upon the same type of vision I was proposing.
Take this outside of work.
Yeah.
Right? I think we become too like focus centered on
Right.
just work.
Right.
You recently got married.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes.
I have not had the pleasure of meeting your wife, but
Ah.
in that concept, it's a working relationship, and
Right.
I don't exactly know if it's the personality orientation of your wife, but how is the contrast in that work? Because I know that you can get obsessive about toys.
Oh
right?
yeah, I get
Detail oriented.
I drill
It's
down
the best
to
word to say it.
the detail nitty gritties. I kind of
Yeah.
get hedged into these tiny little things. I get lost
Yeah.
in these things, right? And she actually, it's really interesting because she's it's very interesting that you mentioned that because
Yeah.
going back to like the whole winging it versus visionary and like
Yes.
kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Like I lean towards the tools and the specificity and the craft, right?
Yes.
And I can get lost in it. Ruby, my wife, is
Yeah.
actually bigger picture. She's a planner. She likes to see things in a grand perspective, and
Okay.
she likes to follow a plan. She's like, I want to craft a plan. I want to follow it. I can adjust, but I need a plan. I can't just wing it. Doesn't make no sense. She's uncomfortable with that, and I'm just like, I'm gonna go with the flow. I got the tools, and I think I have the craft to handle it. Let's figure it out. To me, I personally feel like having that contrast is a nice blend, and like it helps. Whether or not it depends on the person, because if you have two of the exact same personalities, same approaches things, and you're both extremes, that can become a problem.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
If there's too much contrast, then you don't agree on anything.
Right.
It
It's
has
like-
to be a good level of
Right, you
compromise.
don't.
Almost.
I mean, having
Yeah.
extremities, like it helps, but you need like a bridging of the two, right? So, I mean, like she can accept my what's the word? My tendencies, I guess, to kind of fall into like pits and traps of my own making, right?
Now, how long have you been married now? Almost a
Anniversary
year.
is this Thursday.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
Are you ready for your anniversary?
Got this on tape, so I am somewhat ready. I have plans.
You have
Speaking of plans, I have plans.
You have plans. Got it.
I have tools. I'm sort of
camera.
I'm sort of winging the last bits of it.
Okay. And
But I
she's
got-
left this planning all up to you.
I'm pretending I don't remember it. I haven't mentioned it.
Okay. Yeah.
The point is, I have plans.
Uh huh.
I'm hoping she's happy with my plans, but she sees it.
She must be very irritable right now if she believes that you forgot it.
Well, she's like, we haven't talked about it, so therefore, I'm assuming she forgot. You know?
Oh, okay.
It's one of those things.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of stuff going on in your guys' life.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
You are going to be taking a temporary leave from the creative world, actually, as I know it.
Yeah, I'm going to take not temporary leave, so to speak. I'm going to take a small break for about a month from active filmmaking in terms of principal production or post-production. I still may do some pre-production work in terms of like script breakdowns and if you need to like review your scripts or if we need to talk about pre-production planning, I'm still game and open to that. But for the duration of the end of September to probably the end of October, I have family business I need to handle. Okay. So I'm temporarily out of commission. Yeah. Temporarily, but I will be back shortly.
All right. Well. Yeah. It was great having you today.
No.
And
thank you.
Thank you. No, keep it. Thank you.
I was like,
with that said,
I'm Eric.
And I'm Sam. Please don't serve us eggs and ham. All right.
All right. There we go.
All right. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in today and hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you guys liked this and want to see more of it, be sure to like and subscribe. Also, if you guys have any ideas of topics that you'd like to discuss, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. Love you guys, and see you next time.